With the release of Strive Season 3, Sin finally got the buffs he needed and now has a proper spot in the meta outside of an incredibly niche counterpick character. He is now a character that not only punishes characters in mid-range, but can take the pace of a match and contest his space with relative ease and consistency. He still has some very problematic matchups against a lot of relevant characters that can force him to adjust to his opponent's pace, but he has all the tools and the high damage he needs to keep up with these characters. Timestamps are in the description, chapters are in the video, all my socials will be down there as well. Please enjoy. Sin's neutral has improved greatly since our time in Season 2. It still has the high commitment options that have always been there, but with his reach and faster Elk Hunt, he can be quite hard to contest. Moves have been adjusted with the Season 3 patch that helps Sin heavily in neutral, but nothing does more than the now 11 frame far slash. Not only does this give us a very long button with high reward on hit, and some, although not spectacular, RPS on block, depending on spacing with high, low, or Beak RPS on DP characters. New Elk Hunt also helps out a lot in neutral. It did lose some of its range, which is unfortunate, but in the process became harder to react to and challenge. So I'd say that's an improvement. The low profile still doesn't activate until frame 10, but we still have the mid-screen follow-up RPS that leads into a full combo and guaranteed Oki. This mid-screen follow-up RPS can be really strong if you have conditioned the opponent into pressing on your moves by doing nothing on your specials or Gazelle Throw. This CounterHit RPS is super useful for combos on all of Sin's special moves, but costs 2 bars to get reward out of, so pay attention to it and try not to go for it with low stamina, unless you have the meter to spend on super or burst to spend on Wild Assault. Due to the new far slash, we don't have to take as many risks in neutral, but that doesn't mean we can't take them. You can hoof stomp in neutral to go over low moves for a punish and spend 2 stamina bars to safely start your turn. So pay attention to the pokes your opponent likes to use and punish accordingly. We still have our far-reaching 6P that we can use as a counter poke. Just because we gained a new tool doesn't mean we should forget our old ones, especially seeing as how they almost all have the same reward on hit and block. Our 2S is a 12 frame poke that serves well in pressure from mid-screen, in the corner, or as a poke. However, the recovery on none of our moves got changed, so in matchups against extremely fast characters, it is still beneficial to poke in neutral with our faster, albeit shorter 2D. At frame 10, it's 2 frames faster than our 2S, and 1 frame faster than our far slash. But the counter hit reward is so high from anywhere on screen, it is absolutely worth using. Our 2K can also be used as a swift check in spots where you want to threaten someone's low approach. This is most notable in the Ditto and against low profile moves like Night Raid Vortex, Stun Dipper, and Stroke the Big Tree. One last thing for this segment. Sin's jump-ins are hard to apply in most cases due to the low hit stun unless your opponent isn't willing to 6P. Unless you use a well-spaced JH or a very deep JS. Otherwise, I recommend using the grounded tools at your disposal, especially because they give you your offense for 2 stamina bars. Let's switch gears a bit. You can't always win neutral or get in, especially against characters like Ram or Nago. So we have to let them control pace and challenge their options accordingly. Whether that's an unsafe approach or a high commitment button, there is ways to challenge these options. The most commonly used defensive option on Sin is IED/JH, covering many options, and you can use a rising JP to cover early attempts to call it out with an air approach. Another option I use in a more defensive neutral is Beak Driver. People expect you to Elk Hunt at them, so they will use a low poke. This can be challenged and punished with a preemptive Beak Driver that, if spaced correctly, is incredibly difficult to challenge. If someone is really committed to staying away from you, but isn't throwing out any moves your way, you can empty jump FD break to try and close the distance on your opponent. This doesn't always get you anywhere, but it can get you in and make them start to second guess their zoning. If someone is throwing mid or high pokes, you can try to low profile with Elk Hunt to get in, and if you get a counter hit, you can get a stamina free hard knockdown that can get a meaty Elk Hunt, or still growing if you want to do that for some reason. This section will be shorter than the previous two, simply because this one isn't hard to explain. In neutral, you will find yourself usually having 3 bars. You can use this to great effect whenever you land a poke. You can Elk Hunt or Beak Driver. If the Beak hits, you get your turn for 2 bars. If the Elk is blocked or hit, you get your turn for 2 bars. Self-explanatory, but worth mentioning. This is where freedom really comes in. Your offense probably won't be structured the way mine or any of the other top Sin players is for that matter. Sin is a character that has some of the most player expression in the game, and nowhere is more clear than when he's on the attack. I'll be giving tips and things I use in my offense that can be applied to yours, no matter how minor or gimmicky. Most of your sequences will be started with a close slash, 6K, or Elk Hunt follow. All of these are plus on block, but have differences. Close slash is +1, 6K is +3, and Elk Hunt follow-up is +8, and guard crushes. You can use these to force strike throw or high-low mix, which can lead to high damage and a wall break with a Kara cancel for positive bonus or a kill. When on pressure, Sin's biggest strength is how quickly he can build risk, especially with the new addition of Wild Assault, allowing him to increase risk without spending stamina. Most scenarios you want to do high-low mix, you should consider routing into 5H beforehand, as it is now only -2 and can be cancelled on the first or second hit, allowing for a layer of RPS to what you're doing. Or, you can go earlier in your string against characters without a reversal, and you can do CS, 2H, 5H, or 2H to frame trap for counter-hit fishing, but also make them second guess where the high-low is. All of this, and I still haven't mentioned adding throws into the mix for additional layers and RPS. When subbing in throws, it's important to set up frame traps by manually delaying normals to catch the opponent's attempt to tech, allowing counter conversions we will get more into later. You can also use 2P on your opponent's block. We're very tricky to utilize. If you 2P someone's block one time, they will either block a high-low, get frame trapped in 6P, or get thrown. None of these options are guaranteed, but with effective layering, they can be very threatening. You can also sub in 6H after a block 2K or CS to get yourself closer to your opponent if they FD you away. It's only -4 with a very generous cancel limit. When trying to open your opponent, you can also press 2K and slightly delay 2D for a counter conversion, go into hoof stomp, or go for a throw. While on the attack, Sin builds risk at an alarming rate. This allows him to set up an uncharged 5D when he gets his opponent to max risk, which can get a stamina-less combo and possible kill. Lastly, if your opponent is fuzzy throwing or making an effort to tech all your grabs, you can do an IDJH to catch their attempt for a full conversion. Specifically filling out some ideas for Wild Assault in this thing. When on the attack, if Sin Wild Assaults his opponent's block and they're crouching, you can 5P, which is guaranteed to whiff and sets up a guess. If Sin does this whiff 5P setup, he can throw, or throw bait with JH. After riding into Wild Assault on combos, you can almost always get a 6K directly after Wild Assault, or carry the corner. Always keep track of how you spend your resources. You should always leverage your decisions based on how many you have. When you force your opponent to block a Wild Assault, you force them to guess. You can either keep cranking the risk gauge, or you can do a high-low to open them up, or break the wall if you have the meter to spend. In my experience, Sin does get rewarded for Wild Assault and combos, but even more rewarded for using it on block pressure. Remember to keep track of your burst meter to more effectively layer your offense. Sin should be threatening throw throughout the match, and his offense to increase the threat of high-low into super. When Sin lands a throw, he has plenty of options and frame kills to mix up his opponent, including CSOTG, double 5P frame kills, and a safe jump. Rotating these options is the key to success in your offense, and proper layering proves very effective. I'm not gonna talk too much about this one. I have a table actually made up for it. So, bam, there you go. When on defense, Sin has many tools, especially after the // and L cunt changes, allowing him more options than DP to escape the corner. Which does still work, but I believe there's better options. You can, of course, 2P out of pressure, as almost everyone can, and being able to combo into 6P Beak Driver getting you back to neutral. 2K can be applied in a very similar way, allowing for hard knockdown and a side switch or setup for meaty L cunt. Touching again on universal defensive mechanics, we finally have a backdash, and one of the best ones in the game at that. 6 frames of invulnerability and a 24 total frames, allowing us to get away with way more than we should be able to, including things like Bike and 2H. New L cunt and // go hand in hand for me. Both have their place as defensive tools, // contesting people who have to run back in, although 2D is still my preferred choice for this. And L cunt allows us to challenge things like Bridget 5H and Faust Thrust to steal our turn back from her. Against people who like to swing 6P when you try to jump out of the corner, you can ID backdash delay JH, and at higher points, dodge the 6P and whiff punish it. And lastly, we can read a low poke and beat it out with a preemptive hoof stomp. Odd segment, but let me explain. Sin has very well-rounded tools, but are either high commitment or punishable, making some matchups have to be played in very particular ways. I will provide some examples and tips for these matchups. When fighting Kai, Sin has to play at a range much longer than he wants to, but still in range for Beak Driver to connect. Catch him when he presses 2S, or 5H or 6H, and on counter he can combo off Kai attempting to food drawer. One more thing is pressing 2K to catch a poorly placed or Hail Mary stun dipper. And do not forget to hoof stomp over his 2S. He'll be using it a lot to check out cuts. In the unfortunate event you have to fight Chip as Sin, here are some pointers. Don't //. 19 frames of recovery is lethal against a character who can whiff punish you from full screen. Opt for 2S or 2D for pokes. When in the corner against Chip, after the wreck or counter hit changes, do not be afraid to throw out a 2P. It is very effective at catching the overhead. Use your safe jumps effectively, which we will get into those in a moment. While barely losing at worst, this matchup can feel impossible if you don't play it right. When fighting Leo, the important thing to do is play RPS on your //. Most Leos lack the brain power to look at their screen, so making them block // then doing nothing afterwards starts the mind game because they may flash kick or do nothing out of fear. One last piece to this puzzle is when Leo enters back turn stance, you can buffer DP backwards to react if he tries another cross-up for mix. Sin can easily deal with Biken if he's willing to play a counter-poke based neutral instead of trying to box with her normals. Wait for her to do something questionable. On offense, our normals have very large cancel windows, allowing us to heavily mix up our timings on high-low to make a parry a non-issue. Sin isn't great with items, so my solution is to not play with them. Sin can win round start or one neutral interaction and avoid playing with items entirely. Keeping pace as you go versus Faust is important, because when Sin is on the back foot, this matchup can be very difficult and mentally taxing. But if you're willing to watch the items fly and do nothing, the Faust will take a stupid risk they don't have to eventually. Well, hopefully they will. If not, then focus on trying to find a pattern in how they use thrust and elk hunt it. For the love of everything. Neutral jump and react. That's it. Just neutral jump, double jump, whatever you have to do. And if they rinse and air dash in and make him regret doing that. You can also DP after rainwater, forcing Axel to be more careful abusing the plus frames. Beak driver. Press it. A lot. Play very patient. At the end of the day, Sin is not taking pace from Nago ever and should not try to. Play the defensive neutral and react to his options like Fukyo or Super Jump. Elk Hunt, normally, can be very hard to challenge for characters. It isn't for Ram. It's very hard to apply in this matchup, and it shows. Her Farslash and 5H both smoke Elk Hunt, but that doesn't mean there isn't answers. You can Elk Hunt under H Sword Toss, allowing us to close distance and attempt to escape the corner. Sin can land any button to set up a stamina-free combo with a red Roman cancel. He can RC drift forward and super jump into an instant air dash JS, JH, close slash, elk hunt with no follow. You can set up a meaty or throw after this. You can also spend stamina after this for more damage or a wall break. After landing the elk hunt, you can slightly delay a 6k and be +3 in their face, which puts you in a very strong situation. If you're having trouble timing the throw or the meaty close slash, you can whiff a 5p after the elk hunt to help auto time. Sin has a variety of safe jumps he can abuse to get even more reward off his knockdowns. I'll rapid fire through them quickly. The addition of Wild Assault and the new importance to 5H, Sin is easily able to access WallSlump into a safe jump. You can cancel any move into Still Growing once it splats, allowing you to start the slump from some of his different normals. It's that time of the video. Get your lab open and get ready to practice. Here's a list of combos that either do high damage, set up corner carry, get Oki, or save stamina. Combo notation will be at the top of the screen. I'll only be mentioning Kara cancels during the combos where it's harder to slot in, but any combo that ends with a special can be Kara canceled for more damage, wall break, or a kill. You can also sub out elk hunt finishers for beak driver finishers depending on if you want more damage. This is a segment dedicated to featuring advice from other top Sins that you're all probably very familiar with. I'll let them explain. And by them, I mean me, because I'm recording all the... A big part of Sin's strengths come from boxing people out with your big normals. And do not forget to save your stamina. Don't spend it all at once. My advice for someone really wanting to get good at Sin is definitely learn to be patient. While Sin has amazing offense this patch, Sin has sometimes better reward if you wait and whiff punish instead of going in off the gate. If you can balance the two, then you're already at a really good starting point. 2S into Beak, Tyrant Wall Break is probably his best situation because after Wall Break, you can pretty much do whatever. So definitely keep that in mind before you decide to go hog wild. In a general sense, the advice for getting better with the character is learning to vary your neutral, pressure, and defense. A lot of Sin players rely on far slash and elk on neutral, or in pressure with hoof stomp. We're always DPing when you shouldn't with this character, because he has a lot of good overall tools. I think it is always good to use his tools in moderation. For example, because Sin JH is such a good air tool, using it for strike throw is a good option, especially because you get a full combo off of it. But it is when people are just easily reacting to hoof stomp. Using Sin's great strike throw is a great option to make the classic hoof stomp into super even more effective. To be honest, with this character, variety with your approach and defense is the best thing you could do and learn. After a blocked Hawkbaker, you can FRC down 2D to force a blocked low or open your opponent. And if the Hawkbaker hits, you can still whiff a 2D and combo into close slash. If you FRC after a blocked Hawkbaker, it's unlikely they'll block low, as they expect a high. You can open them up with a low. The reason for using 2D over 2K is because 2K can hit the opponent if Hawkbaker connects and ruin what could be a wall break or a corner carry. If they block Beak Driver's follow-up, you're -4. Hawkbaker is very common with most Sin players and wanting to take their turn back. But with RC, you turn it into an extremely deadly move that will condition the opponent a lot. Be creative, even if the character is simple to learn. Sin is a simple character to learn. His specials are easy to understand, but have different attributes that make the difference. Beak Driver is a double-edged tool in neutral, an incredible range, but with an extremely large hurt box, therefore easily punishable on whiff. Elk Hunt allows you to skip neutral, low-profile certain moves, reset your offense with or without follow-up depending on the opponent's fear, and create very powerful 50-50s. It's a move that constantly stays in people's minds. Hoof Stomp allows you to open the guard by hitting high, but it also allows you to bait throws or backdashes thanks to its frames where Sin is airborne during the animation, but also thanks to its active frames, allowing it to catch backdashes in the air or ground for the fastest. You can also Gazelle Step to check if the opponent is sleeping on defense. Still growing. Exists. Hawkbaker can prove to be a good anti-air in specific situations, notably Axel zoning with his JP or JS, or Jacko's minions. Sin has all the tools to be a very good character. His specials are very strong but not invincible. Be clever, not a gorilla. And always have fun. And a big one is knowing how to alternate offensively between stamina, meter, and burst. The main resource to consume in a combo is stamina. It's the least important, but the one that returns the fastest. If you use meter to open your opponent and combo afterwards, use routes that allow you to not use stamina. Most of your best routes are stamina-less. And when you Wild Assault, it's great to use for wall break and obtain positive bonus, and you have a better rotation of resources because of this. Sin has multiple tools he can use to launch himself with 50 meter for different applications. You can FRC up on Elk Hunt to Elk Shot for a jump callout or attempted neutral skip. You can FRC off of Hoop Stomp to advance further with an aerial overhead that goes farther or higher depending on the moment you RC. Or you can launch vertically or drop like a rock with an FRC off JD. Sin can spend 50 meter after landing a special to route into a super, which as of now costs 0 stamina to do. You just need 1 bar. To execute a Kara cancel, after landing a special, input the super and dash directly before the super button. Punch for Tyrant Barrel or Heavy Slash for RTL. In some matchups, there are spots where it's more applicable to 5K instead of far slash. This is notable at catching May's Dolphin or Eno's Hover Dash. After a blocked Beak Driver follow-up, you can FRC up and whiff a JP into JS for a safe jump. quickly touching on how to save stamina. It may not be as important as it used to be due to the Kara stamina change, but you should still learn how to save it when possible. Opting to route and end combos with Elk Hunt without the follow-up can provide stamina-less Oki and give you a 50-50 into Kara near wall afterwards. Against faster characters like Chip or Milia, throwing out a far slash is usually too high of a commitment and shouldn't be regularly used as a poke against these characters. Opting for a 2S or a 2D is infinitely safer and harder for them to challenge. Whiffing 5P is a very strong tool to condition your opponent, frame kill, or auto time another option. There's many applications for this, including post throw. When you have over 50 meter, you can route into the RTL Followup. You can set up car RTL in certain combos for additional damage if that will kill. Hey. This guide, unlike the last one, wasn't like a charity goal or anything. This was just something that I kind of knew I'd have to do at some point, and I didn't want to do it until I was very comfortable with new sin, right? I didn't want to do this until I was certain that I knew what I was talking about. Obviously, there's definitely some stuff I didn't tell in the guide. There's some stuff I didn't mention. There's stuff I forgot, of course, right? Obviously, I forgot to mention some stuff, but some of it I kept to myself on purpose. We got to have our own little secrets. You know, our Game 5 tech. That's mine. That's for me. This guide was a culmination of a year's worth of work, basically, from an entire player base. Of course, the last guide came out in, like, July. It came right around my birthday, and I love that guide. You don't ever need to watch it again. There's some stuff you could probably go find from it that is still good, but this is better in every way. A lot of work went into this. A lot of time. I want to quickly give some mentions about some stuff before I move on with my life and can finally put this guide behind me, because this took a lot of time. First off, to my amazing community, to all the fans that watch me stream whenever I go live, to people in my Discord, you guys do all of this. Even if I could never do what I do if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you. Obviously, our 1-year anniversary was a month ago. And that was a really big deal. And I have no plans to stop. I've had people DM me and message me and reach out to me on Twitter, on Discord, thanking me for of course, streaming, but also thanking me for inspiring them to play a character that they really liked, and for teaching them different things just from playing the game and goofing around, right? It means a lot to me to see those, and that's part of the reason I pushed so hard to get this thing done before Tekken comes out, because I'm going to be playing a lot of Tekken for that first little bit. So yeah, thank you guys. Number 2, there's 5 other people I need to thank. Alright, I need to thank BlueSkyGuy, Bluehek, SauceQue, PixelatedMax, and Patachu, of course. All of them helped write segments of this script. Got a Windows OneDrive notification. Fuck you, OneDrive. Get out of here. They helped a lot filling out some space in this guy, but also I knew I'd miss some stuff, and they covered it in their segments. They talked a lot about creativity and how important it is to try and be freeform with them, and I think that is super important. Simplicity does not lead to boring. So thank you guys so much for helping. Their links are all down there. I put everything there. If they got YouTube, if they got Twitch, everything is down there. Go follow them on all their stuff, for the love of God. Also, the Sin Discord. I've got a link down there for it, probably. Hopefully I didn't forget. Fuck you, Java. Get out of here. Why are you guys popping up now? Go join that. You can learn a lot of good stuff from there. And down in the description as well is Patachu's matchup document. I covered some matchups a little bit specifically, and I had like that RoundStart RPS table. Patachu's matchup chart and document goes into everything super in-depth on a character-by-character basis. It is super Super informative. Go look at it. Anything I didn't answer about certain characters is in there. Go look at it. Go read it. It's amazing. It's so well put together. Lastly, of course, you know, I stream on Twitch. I stream on Twitch very regularly. I haven't been for a little bit just because I've been busy with this, but that's going to change. I stream on Twitch. I compete. You know, almost every tournament I enter at top 8. It's rare I don't get one, and if I don't get one, I was like one set out. I plan to start competing more now that this is done. So stay tuned for more of that. Thank you all. Seriously, this is so cool, knowing that people choose to learn from me, which is amazing. I know a lot of people learn from other people, you know, it helps a lot to have coaching or something to follow for a guide. And I want to make it clear that there is no plans to do a beginner Sin guide. This is it. The only other Sin guide related content I think I'm going to do is I might do a combo theory video, quickly explaining how stuff links into what, so that you can become that free form that makes Sin so threatening. That's the only thing I think I have planned to do. So stay tuned for that. Maybe I might not do it because I'm lazy. With all that said, go follow everyone who helped make this guide. Follow my shit, okay? Follow me. I did all this work. Follow my shit. I expect... I expect to be at 300 followers on Twitter once this guide goes up. We're 35 away at this time of recording. I expect to be at 300. Go follow my ass. All right? Twitch, I'm at like 640 followers. Go follow there too. I better be at 700. I'm joking. With all that said, thank you guys so much for all the support over the last year. This is my big thank you to the community and to the player base. Have fun with the character. Seriously, I hope you learned something from this. And as always, peace.